Okay. I want to call the April 2024 meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission to order. Thank you all for coming. The world is ruled by those who show up. So, thanks. We're going to start off, just to let you know, this is being recorded, and so you'll be able to watch it later on if you want to review anything. For you folks at home that are watching live, you can also watch this recorded as well. So another thing I just want to bring up is if you're going to come up and if you're going to speak, please come up to the podium. That's the only place where we can mic you so everyone can hear you at home. So I'd ask you to please do that. So you can just come up to the red microphone over there. So, first order of business is to review and act on acceptance of the March 2024 meeting minutes. Did everyone get a chance to read?
I reviewed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions, comments?
Make a motion, we approve.
I second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Very good. So voted. Review and approval of bills and expenses. Do you have any, Bill?
To my understanding, we have none.
Okay. And then public participation. We have just one, Marguerite? Yep, okay. So you're up.
I didn't bring you guys copies today. You bored with reading it? Hi, my name is Marguerite Cormier. I've been boating on the lake since 1989 and been a property owner on the lake since 1994. I'd like to thank the board members and everyone else who could attend this meeting tonight in person and online to hear what I have to say. I'm reaching out on behalf of all fellow watercraft users, non-watercraft users, and fellow lake property owners, renters who live on the Lake Quinsigamond located in Shrewsbury, Worcester, and Grafton. I'm hoping to get an update on the proposed solutions as of today, April 24th, where we're at with this. Starting the season off with increased law enforcement and maintain it throughout the season. Has anyone been put on the lake yet? I was just wondering if we got out there. Continued enforcement at boat ramps where vessels enter the lake. Institute an amplified noise code to combat loud boat and PWC exhaust as well as loud music. Offer voluntary boater safety courses. I saw some of those online. That was nice. Focused enforcement in problem areas including Browning Beach, Lake Park, Flint Pond at Lake Ave. And any idea when those signs will go up? I know at the last meeting you guys spoke about that. Worcester will have a boat slipped and manned at Point Rock Condos on Flint Pond. Any idea when the boats will be put in the water and be ready for action? I think the sooner the better since the sun is starting to shine more. And that's when the crazies arrive after what I saw April 15th at the boat ramp on South Quinsigamond Ave. Shrewsbury and MEP, Mass Environmental Police, will be patrolling with their own PWCs. How are those doing? Improved interagency communications through technology, coordinating efforts and schedules, improved use of existing tools, existing enforcement rules. See Rule 1, 4, 5, 14, 29, 30 in the link below, which you can't see because it's on my paper. Question, is there a timeline to review the above info other than asking for an update at each monthly meeting, or is that something you guys will be doing regardless of me asking? I've received no response from the Department of Conservation and Recreation, DCR, to help stop watercraft from beaching on the shores of the two parks, Quinsigamond State Park at Regatta Point, 10 North Lake Ave, or the Quinsigamond State Park, 283 Lake Ave in Worcester. I would like to talk about a post on the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association on April 6th around 10 to 11 p.m. There was talk about loud noise coming from the lake park. Someone said maybe 10 to 15 cars in the parking lot. They say the noise was not from boats on the lake. It could be heard at Half Moon Cove, Edgemere, Flint Pond, Point Rock Estates. The loud music on the land travels across the lake. It was as if it was coming out of the lake. It said, someone said on there, see police report. I'm wondering if a member of the police department could tell us a little bit about that incident. And my question is there anyone to contact about locking up the main entry gate at the Quinsigamond State Park at 283 Lake Ave? The rear gate is almost always locked going into the park. So the main entry is where the problem is, where they get in to try to help stop this bad behavior. And my other question is on April 15th, at the public boat ramp in Shrewsbury at 37, that lane. In Shrewsbury, a lot of people were putting boats in and jet skis, just wondering when the no wake zone buoys and signage will go up. I saw that the lines are in, so I was assuming maybe because of that, they're not there yet, but I was wondering that date. And as of April 23rd, well, I didn't see any wake buoys, so just wondering. And I have a question about Rule 31. Motorized boats or vessels of any nature exceeding 30 feet in length are prohibited on Lake Quinsigamond. I was just wondering why 30 feet and what was the reason for this rule? And that's it. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to hearing your responses where we are at with the above proposed solutions and my questions.
Okay, so I'll start it off that,
Can I go back to my seat?
please. And I'll let law enforcement, address the questions you have about when they're going to put their boats in and all that. My understanding is we're kind of waiting for the regattas to clear out, and that's also true. You were right about the no wake buoys at Regatta Point because they're kind of in the way of the regatta. So they haven't gone up yet, and I'll let Shrewsbury PD address when they're going to get the rest of the buoys in on the lake. So, and I just want to remind that, as far as the updates go, we will update everyone, as we have information. Some of the things that we've proposed, for example, I lost my train of thought here. Oh, the amplified noise code. That's not something that we're going to say, okay, we're going to make a phone call and all of a sudden we have an amplified noise code. So we really have to, kind of get that through. In Shrewsbury, it'll be town meeting. Worcester would have to go through the city council. So that's a process that's going to take some time, and that's one of those long-term things that we have to deal with. That said, the commission only will address issues of loud and amplified noise on Lake Quinsigamond, on the lake, because we have no purview over the parks or anything on, basically anything on land, unless it's an environmental issue and it's part of the watershed. But for the most part, Lake Park and those kind of questions would be better addressed. And I understand the frustration, because I go through it as well with DCR. So they're the people that run those things, and they have the keys to the gate and whatnot. One thing about the public participation, I just want to go kind of bring this out to remind everyone that this is typically, it's not a forum where we're going to interact between the speaker and the commission, because a lot of times, in this particular case, I'm pretty versed on all the questions you asked. But, sometimes we're not going to be prepared to answer questions for either we didn't do the research or you bring up something we haven't either thought of or know about or whatever. So typically I kind of discourage that, because I don't want the meeting to kind of run away from us because we have an agenda. And, because of the open meeting law, most of the stuff we talk to has to be on the agenda, especially if we have to take any action for it. So, excuse me, I just want to do that. To address your last point about question 31, and maybe someone who's have more of a legacy seat.
Yeah, I'm aware of what reason. May I,
Okay.
Mr. Chair? The reason they established the length of boats being no longer than 30 feet is that back then, there was an individual had, I don't want to use brand names, but he had a Donzi-like jet boat that was over 30 feet long that that was being operated at times irresponsibly, as defined by canoes getting tipped over. And it was deemed in the wisdom of the commission at that time that it was a boat that large, which inevitably is not meant to be trolling to go fishing, it's meant to go fast, was a real hazard on the lake. And so they thought that, short of a special permit, boats shouldn't be operating on the lakes longer than 30 feet because of the demonstrated problems that came up because of the use of that boat. And in fact, only a couple years ago, this commission had to ban an individual who was using that type of boat because, again, it was just considered to be too big, too large, and too disruptive in terms of everybody else's use of the waters of Lake Quinsigamond. So that's the history on it. Now, that got instituted a number of years ago, and this incident that I'm talking about that prompted the commission at that time to institute the Rule 31, I got to think back. Honestly, it was maybe 20, 25 years ago, so it was a long time ago. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. That's it for public speakers, yes? Thank you. Go on to commissioners' reports. I am going to start off this typical one, or atypical of what I usually do. So I just want to bring up that on Saturday, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before, we had a significant diesel, what we think is diesel fuel spill coming into Lake Quinsigamond at the outfall right behind Sears Plaza. I was notified by Lieutenant Youngren that this was going on. I want to thank, first of all, Shrewsbury Fire, Mass DEP, and Mass DOT for the quick response down there. It was coming out at a pretty steady rate. It had been after the rain. It was flowing out of there. There's kind of an area there that's very natural and nice. A swan's nesting in there right now, and that's typical of what that particular swan does every, I think it's the same swan, every year. But the entire area, you could smell the diesel fuel all up and down it. I was joined by Commissioner Piker and Commissioner Polito at the site at the time, and like I said, we obviously established there was some kind of spill coming out, and Lieutenant Youngren. At the time, there was two other Shrewsbury Fire officers down there, a lieutenant and a captain, and a crew, and they all went to check the storm drains and the manholes and stuff like that to see where it was coming from. So, and since then, Lieutenant Youngren, I'll let him kind of fill us in on what he's done after that. But it's unfortunate we haven't found the source yet, to the best of my knowledge. We've got some tests back, and it's just the old, well, we can't confirm this or that, and it's, that kind of thing. I'm no expert from a testing standpoint, but let's just say I know it when I smell it. And so that's it was definitely some kind of, and see it, and so it was definitely some kind of diesel fuel. We didn't see any dye in the fuel per se. There was no red dye especially, so I'm kind of not thinking it was heating oil, but again, we don't really know, and I'm not sure if we'll ever find out that part of it. Mass DEP did hire or request that a contractor come down, and they did boom off the area. They boomed it off right in front of the outfall, and they boomed it off again at the narrow part of that because it just kind of goes through and out into Flint Pond, which it had already done. Some ports of there was a fishing tournament going on at the time, so some of the fishermen had reported that they had seen and smelled it as far over east as the East Route 20 bridge. So it was a major spill. The neighbor who had called it in, I want to also thank him for doing that. His neighbor next door, if you're watching, he had mentioned to the neighbor who called it in that this has been going on for a week, So if you do smell or see something or have any suspicions, please let us know as soon as possible, so that we can track it down. In fact, if that spill at the volume that it was coming out when I was there was coming out for a week, that's a lot of fuel into the lake. So not a good thing. You know, a few years ago, we had some issues down there as well, not fuel oil, or any kind of fuel that I remember, but we did have some, questions about, I think it was silt or something coming out of that outfall, and we had requested some type of plan or map of the pipes. And DOT couldn't seem to figure it out, and the city, because we were working with Jacqueline at the time, also did not have, or I never ended up seeing a plan of what pipes come into what. Most of those pipes down there are coming off of Route 20, so it's kind of a DOT thing. But on Grafton Street, the city does tie in, so it could be coming from anywhere. And again, I'll let Bob kind of flesh that out a little bit. But I just want to report that and notify everyone that that did in fact happen. If you smell or see anything down by that area, if you happen to go through there, there are booms in the water still. I would ask that you do not cross over those booms and damage them, because they're there for a good reason. And they're at the southernmost tip of that little inlet there. So if you go under the culvert at Route 20, it's going to be blocked off at the narrow part when you go out. So I'd ask that you just kind of stay out of there until we get this thing straightened out. I believe, because I at this point, and I haven't seen any, and I've been checking it fairly frequently. I haven't seen any evidence of the fuel continuing to flow out of there, probably for over a week. So that's good news. It kind of cleared out and doesn't seem to be out there. There was still a significant sheen in the water down there, where it was captured, and a smell. So you could smell it if you were just walking on Oak Island. You could smell the thing. So that's kind of the update there. It doesn't look like it's still flowing, so that's good news. The only bad news about that is we can't. It's going to be way more difficult to find out where it's coming from, because it's not flowing anymore. But I'll take that over keeping going into the lake for sure. But again, please don't wait a week or any long time if you have any suspicions that something isn't right on the lake, so we can address it as soon as possible. And like I said, I really appreciate the quick response we got from everyone that was involved in that Saturday to come out and get it taken care of. So that's that. Also, I was down checking on the swans and the spill at one point, and I pulled into the boat ramp. My understanding was, I think on Monday night, Shrewsbury PD, and I don't know, I'm not going to steal your thunder, but there was some interaction down there. And I was down there on Wednesday night and also had some interaction. And, everyone has a right. And if those particular people that I met down there on Wednesday, there's no, if everyone's obeying the rules and everything is up to snuff, then, they have every right to go on there and do what they, enjoy the lake like anyone else. These particular individuals were swapping off riders at the ramp, and that is against the rules. Not just our rules, it's against the law as far as the regulations of the boat ramp go. So when you launch your vessel at a boat ramp, it's basically you launch your vessel, you get your party in there, and you go about your business. It's not a place where you can congregate, not a place where you can hang around waiting for your ride and keep swapping off on your vessel. So please do not do that. There is signage, new signage at the boat ramp to kind of explain things and refer everyone to where the rules are. I think it's actually defined what statues it is. I don't believe that the newer signs from conservation are up yet, so I'll defer that to conservation. But you know, to Marguerite's point, it's starting. So you know, I'm hoping that we've been kind of lucky in one aspect. I'd rather have the weather nice and deal with the jet skis, to tell you the truth. But the weather has helped, you know, kind of keep that at bay for a while. So it's not as bad as it could be. But when it gets warm, like it is going to get warm this weekend, I'm confident that we will see way more activity out there, that kind of activity. So I think that is it for my report. Mr. Piker.
Well, if I can, in that it was Earth Day a couple days ago, I'd like to just address, you know, the issue of pollution a little more. Frankly, 50 plus years ago, probably 60 years ago, there was an oil truck tipped over on the then Route 9 bridge, causing a huge oil slick that settled into a place that was then called Dock Chauvin's. It's now Lakeshore Condos. And that settled to the bottom. And I once had a boat that I kept at Dock Chauvin's, actually, as I had worked there. And for the couple of years that I worked there and had a boat there, every summer, very ugly oil ring would set up around the boat. So, and basically the opinion of the people who worked there was, oh yeah, the oil slick from the tipped over oil truck settled in here and went to the bottom, and every summer kind of bubbles up and gets around all the boats. And it was like very sad. There was not back then, 50, 55 years ago, the type of environmental awareness and sensitivity there is today, I would like to think. But the point is, it's not our lake, it's your lake. It's our lake altogether. And when people complain that the shoreline has plastic straws and plastic nip bottles and styrofoam coffee cups and the caps from 16-ounce water bottles and the like that wash up on the shore, yeah, it's part of life. It's sad. Unfortunately, there's a percentage. I'd like to think it's a small percentage of people that are slobs, and I'll be polite. But, you know, we all have a responsibility to try to keep things clean for ourselves, for our families, for our friends, neighbors, and for, you know, our children and grandchildren thereafter. So we all have a responsibility to try to keep things clean as best we can. And, you know, that requires some stewardship on all our parts. Let me just say that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Other than that, because of the weather being kind of back and forth in terms of the coolness, I see some boats coming out. There's people are rowing. People are starting to fish, kayak, and the like. But I'm sure the activity in the lake will be increasing shortly. The level of the lake, by the way, has gotten up very quickly after the dam was raised and is up to level and has stayed up to level. It only took a couple of weeks. Other than that, it's typical wildlife I'm seeing. The eagles I'm seeing around. There's hawks. The ducks are already having babies. The geese are already having babies, and they're around, and I've seen them myself. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I apologize because I wanted to ask Lieutenant Youngren if he wanted to come up and give us an idea while we're on the subject of the spill.
Okay. Once again, my name is Bob Youngren. I am a lieutenant with the fire department. I'm also the hazmat tech for the town. I actually work on the state hazmat team along with that. As Peter mentioned, on Saturday, I did have that spill 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, down behind Half Moon Cove, behind the Sears Plaza. It was a considerable leak. As I said, we did put booms and things like that, and there was some testing going back, trying to find where this was coming from. Worked with the Mass DOT, which we pretty much had an agreement that the 30-inch pipe starts at 122 in that area and comes down, goes into the lake. Along with our investigation, we found why the water it runs all the time. There's actually a stream coming into that nonstop behind ABF Freight on Route 20 by the railroad bridge. There was no contamination from that property. We started DeLeo Gas, checking the deep water mains all the way up. We found fuel oil there for the Doug Russells. Right before you get to the bridge, if anybody remembers where Colonial Auto Body used to be, it's a body shop there now, right at the bottom at 122. That's the last place we found fuel oil in the drains. Above that, there was nothing. So couldn't figure out where it was coming from. I was lucky enough to work along with the Worcester Fire Department. My person who actually does the job I do in Shrewsbury, he does in Worcester. He had plans directly to the sewer stuff. So after some review, there was a pipeline. There's a pipe that comes off Grafton Street. I was taught it came from Blythewood Ave, but it's pretty much Nathaniel Court, Nathaniel Street. It goes across. It's actually, the pipe starts behind, it's called Polito Drive, not in Shrewsbury, in Worcester, but it's actually behind Enterprise Rent-A-Car on Route 20. It's right behind there. That pipeline comes down and actually feeds into that main right in front of Colonial. It comes across by, anyone knows where the veterinarian clinic is? Nathaniel Court's right behind there. Came down here. I went there last night. There was some contamination I noticed, like around one of the drains. Actually, it was up by Polito Drive in the corner. It didn't look like it was really bad, but there was definitely, it started somewhere in that area. After today, the DPW from Worcester, the sewer department, actually went down there, and the report I got back from them is they actually did see a possible sheen inside a manhole cover on Nathaniel Court. We're hoping that's where, I mean, it had to start in that area because that's the only pipe that comes in. There's nothing that comes above from Grafton Street down that ramp, like towards Mrs. Mack's Bakery. All that stuff comes the other way. But nothing actually comes down into that drain there. So it's a dead end where we found it came off those back streets. Going back, so just been continuing looking at things. I did go over last night in the area where the pipe comes out, with a wastewater classifier strip. And there's still petroleum product in that water coming out. You can't see it, but the wastewater strip actually does testing for it and actually hit positive for a petroleum product in that area. Okay. The other thing, looking at that, the soil down there where the pipe comes out is definitely contaminated with diesel fuel. As Peter mentioned, it did not have the dye in it, so it's definitely a fuel oil, diesel fuel. What they're going to do there, I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, my thing is we have to keep those booms up for a period of time because that's going to continue to put stuff off into the water. The right thing to do, which it's way beyond what I can do, but just actually have that soil removed out around, at least around the pipe in the area where it's heavily contaminated. But that's something the DP is going to have to deal with. I know lakes and ponds were very nice to come down. I met somebody down. They actually did some testing for us. And they actually found which was some fuel in there. They found a petroleum in there. They couldn't determine 100% if it was diesel fuel, but it was on that type of a brand of what they found in the water there. Once again, if anyone goes through there, please do not move the booms. Do not cut those booms because that's what's containing stuff out of that water right now. We don't want to get the rest of the lake.
Okay.
That's what we have. That's what I have for the information right now. Like I said, it is an ongoing thing. And it's tomorrow, the DPW, the sewer department, is actually going to put a camera down into there and look through the piping and see if they can find any more evidence of the contamination, maybe where it started. So this is an ongoing process, but it's not being forgotten, and it's being taken care of, hopefully.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks much, Bob.
Thank you.
Katie, I want to jump your line here, but since we're on this topic,
Yes, I think that's most efficient.
yeah.
So these are just a couple maps of the street that Lieutenant Lindgren was just speaking about. So as Lieutenant Lundgren? Youngren. Thank you. So highlighted on that map is Nathaniel Court, which Nathaniel Street, and then kind of coming off of that as a T is Nathaniel Court. So the city of Worcester does have some stormwater infrastructure which discharges into the pipe, the DOT pipe that Lieutenant Youngren mentioned. We did not see much oily sheen today in the manholes. On Nathaniel Street, it's really rare, like unique infrastructure. It's not non-standard for Worcester, so it's not a catch basin, but they're manholes with vented covers. So they effectively are serving as catch basins, allowing surface water to enter into the manhole. I saw a very slight oily sheen in one, but it didn't look exactly the same as what I saw, as the sheen that I saw down in Flint Pond. And there was also no odor. So not really sure what that means, but we are going to do a CCTV tomorrow of the entire line on that street to try to figure that out. Across Grafton Street, Saybrook Road, and then Polito Drive does connect to that line, but a manhole at Grafton appeared to be clean and dry, so we think it's limited potentially to Nathaniel Court and Nathaniel Street. Maybe a question for the commissioners who were at the discharge on Saturday, or maybe Lieutenant Youngren. Did any of you see like a significant amount of liquid that would be tinted? Because one of the questions, or one possibility that could be occurring, is if there's an illicit connection into City of Worcester stormwater infrastructure, maybe someone's like heating oil in their basement leaked and someone's sump pump is like pumping something through an illicit connection there. Was there enough liquid to see if there was a tint, or is it just the sheen?
Yeah, there was enough liquid to see that there wasn't a tint on it.
Okay.
Coming out of the pipe. I mean, literally, you could see it coming out of the pipe.
Yeah, and it had a rainbow sheen on the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, well, that's after it got out, but, coming out, you could see, well, it was also rainbow then, too, but, it looked like fuel oil coming out. Looked like someone's basically pouring it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, though, to what you just said, was that it would kind of dissipate, and then it would come out stronger. And then it would kind of back off, and then it would come out stronger. So one of the things we were thinking, and I say we, DEP and the fire personnel that were down there at the time, was that it did kind of behave like it was being pumped. That it would kind of recede for a while and
Yeah.
not come out so strong. We're still coming out, and then all of a sudden there would be like a gush of it coming out, and then just filling up the little area which you saw in front of the boom wasn't there at the time. Well, they had the white boom, but not the deep water boom
Yeah.
there. So it was it was pulsating. We'll say pulsing,
Okay.
as far as the flow went. So that was going on all that day. At least I was down there, I don't know, 3 hours or so. The whole time I was down there was doing that.
Okay.
So, and I don't know before that, if in fact that was going on for a week, I don't know. It was in our mind, because we all stood there and said, this is a significant amount of diesel.
Yeah.
Someone's got to miss it, like almost $5 a gallon. It was, it had to be an expensive proposition for wherever that leak was. So, but it could have been, I don't know. But that said, that's kind of how it was behaving at the time.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
What was the period roughly between the surges?
Oh, good question. That's probably 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know. Ken,
Which is a typical sump pump period.
Yeah. So, the first thing was, oh yeah, someone's tank leaked in their basement, but it didn't look like fuel oil. Not to say that maybe someone wasn't using, it's diesel. So the dye's in it just because you can identify it as fuel as heating oil, but doesn't mean you have to use it like that. So you could use another diesel, I guess. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what it was behaving like at the time.
Okay. I would, yeah, so I have seen sort of a continued amount of emulsified material up against the boom. And I visited on this past Saturday and did not see any emulsified material, and
Right.
have seen that on Monday and then again this morning.
You did see some Monday?
Yeah, I did see it on Monday, so none on Saturday, some on Monday, and some today.
Okay.
So to me, I didn't see much sheen, but to me that might indicate a smaller amount of continued discharge. I'm not an expert in hazard materials, so I can't speak with a special authority, but I mentioned the maybe continuation to John Borsier at DEP, who I think was probably there on Saturday.
Yes, he was.
And he mentioned that he would come check the site out again. So I'll certainly update the commission on what the results of the CCTV investigation show. You know, hopefully a source is identified so we can get to the bottom of this. As far as the results of our sample testing, so we took a sample last Friday, and we tried to get as much of the sheen in our sample bottle as possible in an effort to identify the substance. So we did an extractable petroleum hydrocarbons test, which tests for a range of hydrocarbons. And as Lieutenant Ungern mentioned, the results kind of fell anywhere between light fuel oil to crude oil, but those are indicating like the molecules present. So most of it would be consistent with either diesel or home heating oil. They were not at a concentration that's like anywhere close to the standard of concern for groundwater, the MPC and MCP standards for groundwater, which might affect, which has potential to discharge to surface water. Of course, that's almost a week after the bigger volumes that you saw on the day that it was reported. So it's hard to know exactly the volume, what the real concentration was. So unfortunately, like, we don't have any conclusive information at the moment, but I'm hopeful that our investigation tomorrow morning will turn up a source, and looking forward to continuing to work with you and with DEP and DOT as needed.
Oh, and we appreciate all the stuff you guys are doing. Just a question. I don't know if this is something you know, but you know, it's contained somewhat in that area. And if it doesn't go out, what does it do? Does it just sit on top of the water forever, or does it sink? Does it get into the sediment? How does it you know?
Probably all of the above.
What's the long-term effect on it, I guess, or the longer-term effect?
Yeah, so my understanding is that some of it will evaporate as gasoline does.
Yeah.
Some of it is heavier and won't evaporate. And so there could be molecules that remain behind and remain sort of attached to vegetation. I did not see any flagrant observations of like significant environmental harm. There was still plenty of wildlife in the area.
Mm-hmm.
The wildlife aren't fleeing that area. So that's a good sign. But I would maybe suggest that the commission ask DEP if they're able to do like a phase 1 or a stage 1 assessment of the wetland to determine if there's like contamination. Or request, like DEP would have the expertise to be able to determine that.
All right.
Any other questions for me?
Yeah,
at
Mr.
the
Chair,
moment?
can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
When both Katie and you, when you saw the surging and when you noticed a little bit that, you said Monday, I believe, was it rainy that time period or the night before when you saw that? Because that would imply that the sump pump would be working harder and probably more likely to produce a little more sheen and oil.
So this past Saturday, I went after the rain, and I did not see any emulsified material. I don't remember if there was rain on Monday. We got a tiny little bit this morning, and I visited after the tiny bit of rain and saw emulsified material. So to me, that it doesn't have a significant relationship with the rain, but I don't have enough information to say for sure.
I know we're grasping at straws, but just considering everything.
Yeah, we have to. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Katie.
Mr. Chairman, just one more question. Can you just make sure you keep Eric Flint in the loop?
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Moving right along.
Back to the commissioner's report.
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
back to the Commissioner's report. Sergeant Bradley.
All right. So Shrewsbury does have its boat in the water now. It's available for QRA details and for emergency responses. We're not staffing it for day-to-day activities yet until it gets a little bit warmer, closer to mid-May or so. On Patriots Day, on the holiday, it was pretty active on the lake, and we had one of our proactive officers down on the boat ramp. He turned away 3 unregistered jet skis. We towed 2 unregistered trailers and towed another unregistered vehicle which had attached plates on it. In terms of the buoys, we're looking at the buoys. We haven't put them all out yet. We did an assessment of them, and looking into the season coming, typically a lot of them do get destroyed or damaged out on the lake. So we would like to try and get 6 additional buoys and lights for the top of them, and then some additional rope for anchoring. So I'd be requesting some funds for that.
You said 6 additional?
Buoys, the wake buoys.
Yeah.
Yep. And the lights for the attachment on top, and then some rope. That would be roughly $2,500 for those.
It's rope. The 6, Ryan, where are they going?
So they would just be spares, just for the thought that they're going to be broken throughout the season. So they'll be stored, prepared, and
Okay.
ready.
'Cause I know that we definitely need 2 new
Okay.
buoys at the Flint Pond Route 20 bridge.
Okay.
There's a buoy on the south side and a buoy on the north side.
Okay.
To go no wake.
Yep.
Because believe it or not,
They
it's
fly
not
through there. Yeah.
it's not inherent with people that go no wake under the bridge. But,
Yeah.
and you can't, it's got a not only as a bridge, it's got an obstructed view. But the last set of buoys we had in there got sliced somehow. So they keep sinking, and the neighbors were nice. There's 2 abutters right there, 3 abutters that have been maintaining them. They've been going in, pulling all the
okay.
water,
Wow.
emptying the water out of them, and they slowly sink over time, but
Yep.
now they're just gone. So
So those 6 would be.
you want to add 2 more, I guess.
Yeah, we can add 2 more to that then.
All right, so put
Yeah.
8.
Put 8. Yeah.
All right. And you said the, what did you say it was, $2,500
$2,500.
or so?
Yes.
All right. I think I have some orange hazard markers. Okay, we're good.
And that's all I got.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, hold-
question if I could,
what,
Ryan?
Go ahead.
In that you may handle this end of things, and if so, sent a check-in form, one might, butters who have docks know when to look for their plate stickers to be received in the mail. Do you have any idea?
Okay, so the plate stickers did in fact go out. I think there's a process that they're going out. They started to go out. So
Started to go out,
So,
okay.
so there's a process. Some people have gotten them already. I haven't gotten one.
I haven't got one yet either, but we
So-
should be looking for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should be looking for those. That
Thank you.
they're on the way. They're in the mail.
I actually did check in with the clerks today, and they were in the process of processing all the applications and
Yeah.
stickers and stuff
I
like
talked with Cindy, and
Okay, perfect.
she had a stack.
that. Yeah.
She had a stack of stuff going on. So
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
at the time, so yeah, they are going on. Good question, Mike. Thank you. Okay, is that it?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Do you want to, I guess, approve the markers now, the markers now, or should do that?
Make a motion, we approve
I'll second the motion.
Don't have an agenda item for that.
Okay,
part of the budget,
Want to
isn't
put
it?
it under the budget?
it is under the budget, yeah. Okay. So we can just approve the budget?
Let's make 2 motions, one for the budget and one for the 2,500 for today.
All right, so, did you guys get a copy of the budget?
No.
All right, so, all right, we'll table that. We'll circle back around and get that done afterwards. We'll throw those out there. That's coming up, so. Me. Thanks for listening. if anyone else would like to see this, it's, can put it up over. What's that? No, there's nothing in there from us for the spill. That's just the overall budget, Marguerite. What, you know.
I think that wasn't it, didn't that get passed out on the 27th?
Yeah, but it was embarrassingly incomplete. So they're missing the income part of it, which is kind of critical to understand that part of it, right? Before we can spend any money, we have to understand we have it. All right, so Sergeant Garman.
So regarding the loud music, those roving car things have started probably 3-4 weeks ago. We chase them around the city. We do the best we can. It's usually 10 o'clock to 2 in the morning. They scan. They like I call it Chuck E. Cheese Plaza right there. They like Lake Park.
You have to hang out there, yeah.
They like Worcester Voke, Regatta Point. We do the best we can. However, they do have scanners. Sometimes dispatchers catch on to it, and we'll have an officer turn to a secure ban to dispatch cars. But they have started, and we do the best we can chasing around with their burnouts and stuff like that during the weekend. So that's going to be an uptick definitely in the coming months for the summer. I'll pass it on to the operations division. Usually they'll put a special duty car out there to deal with it. And once a special duty car is out there, they'll actually go to secure ban, and dispatch will tell them a call came in for these roving car parties. However, it's an officer safety issue because sometimes it gets to 30 to 40 to 50 people, and they're not going to send 2 officers into a situation like that. So they had to wait for calls to clear up, officers become available to send 7 or 8 guys in there. And in a city of 220,000 people, a Friday and Saturday night it's busy time. Regarding our boats will be in the water on the 20th. However, we did run into a problem with our brand new boat. We had to replace our canopy from a defect in manufacturing. Our canopy in a bend split. So they flew a tech up on Monday to install the brand new canopy. He left yesterday, but we have to send it back out to Colonial to get our lights put back in. Hopefully that'll be done by the 20th, but our smaller boat will definitely be on the water in Flint Pond on the 20th. Hopefully the big boat will be on the main body of water on the 20th. It's all dependent on when Colonial can fit us in to get. I'm not going to put a boat on the water without blue lights. So that should be done soon. My captain's pushed onto that. I requested 5 reserve officers to go to Shrewsbury's training in June. I'm going to try to get them from different divisions. So if some of my guys can't do the boat, I can possibly backfill with the reserve officers. So it'll give me probably 21 guys that would man the boat during the summer season. I met with my captain and my deputy chief yesterday about days that were off, what they can budget for my unit to put guys on the water. So I got to I'm doing a report later this week or Monday, and I'll submit it to my captain, to my deputy chief for approval by the chief for additional manpower during our days off, so that the lake will stay covered during our off time.
All right. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Sounds like things are moving forward. Does Worcester have an amplified noise?
Yeah,
we
do. Yeah, there is one.
Yeah, Shrewsbury has one, Ryan?
On land?
Yeah,
I don't believe
No?
so.
I'm assuming it didn't because
Mr. Chair,
the
the
Chief
problem with
Anderson is the one who asked me about it, so.
we discussed before, the problem with the amplified thing is they see you coming.
Yeah.
We don't hear them. Someone's in front of us 100 yards. They say the police are behind me. They turn their radio down. Type of that's
yeah.
it's like
It happened to
Worcester,
me. It happened to me
it's-
that Wednesday when I went down to the boat ramp, and I went in there to look at this, to check out the swans. And when I got down, there was a fisherman by the narrow part. So I came into the boat ramp because that's where the path was to get to where I was going. And I go over and I'm talking to the fisherman and ask him about the swan come over and all that. and all of a sudden, the music just starts blaring. And the guy's like, oh, here we go again, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's gonna go. So I went over and I asked him to turn down the music, which went over like a lead balloon.
And one thing I did forget is regarding Oak Island. We discussed that last meeting about Worcester team up with Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
That was brought up with my deputy and captain also yesterday.
Okay.
And I'll get a hold of Sergeant Bradley so that a Worcester and a Shrewsbury guy can work in unison for Oak Island during the summer months.
Perfect. All right. Good. That's it.
That'll be a first.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's a good. I think it's a good thing. We're gonna have to get you like a
Finally forced to get along.
That'll be a first.
yeah. Maybe we can get you like a Lake Patrol patch, okay, for your shirt. All right. Sorry, got my agenda turned over here. All right. Mr. Polito.
I believe the signs for Oak Island have been ordered, and they'll be coming soon. They're in multiple languages, and the wording is as we discussed last time. And I have some pictures and a video of that oil sheen I'll send to you.
Oh, perfect.
So
Thank you.
you'll have those and you can share.
All right. Okay. Perfect. Is that it, Ken?
That's it.
All right. Awesome. Travis is not here. Andy.
Nothing at this moment.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Nelson.
Okay, I guess I just have one thing. As most everybody here knows, the colleges have been rowing for a month and 3/4. So they row during the day and the daylight, and it's a little warmer then. As far as the Quinsigamond Rowing Club is concerned, they told me that they're doing their clean out this weekend, and both their women's 8 program and the men's 8 program are starting to practice at 5 and 6 in the morning when it's a lot darker and colder. That's the reason why they're a month later, on this coming Monday. And the singles and doubles will be going out 3 weeks after that, on the Monday, I think, which is May 20th or 21st. And that's the only real news I have. Oh, except one question they've asked me. The 2 buoys at the Narrows, are they in, or if they're not in, when will they be going in?
They're not in yet, probably the next few weeks, though.
Next few weeks, okay. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Good. So those 8s are going to be well lit. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, if they're in it's every size boat, not only the 2s, the 4s, the 8s, and the launches, they're all
The 8s
lit.
are the ones going in this Monday.
And if it's dark out. So any boat that spends any fraction of its hour and a half out in the water, when it's dark, will be all lit with all 3 boats, green, red, and white lights on it.
Right. And not to sound like a broken record, but I would really like if we could figure out a way to elevate the lights a little bit more, so that they're not, right on top of the surface of the shell. So you can see them so it's obvious, not, so we don't have to look for it. And if you're riding in a runabout, the boat and the lights below the sight line. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Patrick. I didn't mean to call you out, but I did mean to call you out.
The rules that we put together years ago with the Commission for the Rowing Community
Yeah.
says they have to be standard navigation lights, but we also strongly recommend a strobe on each end of the boat.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
strobes have been the most successful
Yeah.
to view because it's very difficult to get them up, but we do strongly recommend strobes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Just one other comment, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
The launches at the rowing club, they have elevated the lights on both ends of the launches by about 1.5 to 2 feet on little stalks. And
Yeah.
some of the single rowers now put a white light on the top with their hat as well, which raises it up probably almost 3 feet compared
Okay.
to the boat.
All right. I mean, just to, without that kind of illumination, you're invisible. So, that's what I'm concerned about. All right, perfect. So that's it for commissioners' reports. And the next one is review and act proposed 2024 LQC budget. So this is very similar. There was a couple slight adjustments I made on expenditures, but it's pretty much what it was last month, except that you actually have a picture of the incoming money carried forward. So we carry forward about $169,298, and from the account that's been in there over time, and the municipalities' appropriations that we've carried over amount to about $56,284, and the section below that is basically the proposed or projected income, and those are appropriations from the town of Grafton, which I guess they still have to be voted on. No.
Yeah, it was put on the warrant last week, but the warrant still has to be voted on.
Right, okay, so we're still going through that. I believe Shrewsbury's actually the same way at this point. Worcester, we're dealing with in-kind things. We have an earmark from the Commonwealth that was appropriated last year. I hope it comes through. Sometimes earmarks can fall off. But, you know, Mike Moore and I did take a picture together with him handing me a big giant check, so I'm hoping that I still have that, so he'll have to answer to why that didn't happen. So that's the second section, and then the proposed dock fees for this year, we have about $29,000 coming in, which, by the way, is with the raise in the dock fee, is basically bringing us up to where we need to match the city and the town, which is $30,000. So that was our goal, was to get our dock fees up so they match that. If that is, my plan would be to kind of level off at that at this point, and hopefully we won't have to raise any fees next year on the dock side. That's actually dock, it's not Massachusetts accent for dark. Okay, and we've gone through this in ad nauseum last week about all the, not to get into the weeds here, pardon the pun, but basically there's sections in there for what we need for permitting, testing. Testing is one area that I did raise it up a little bit, and mapping and surveys, because we do need to deal with a drawdown at Newton Pond, so we need to. I always forget the name of that map. Barrier something. What's that? Yeah, they want the conservation wants the depths and all the stuff and how the drawdown is going to affect. That's the word. Okay, thank you. Then treatments, Half Moon Cove. Some of this is obviously proposed. I don't know what's going to happen at Half Moon Cove this year in terms of Procyllicor, so that may fall off a little bit. But Flint Pond certainly will be in play, and Lake Quinsigamond, the north side of it. I don't know what our results will be from last year, where we treated north of the, I'm going to say Ramswan Island north. So that's part of it. And then we do have money in there for dash treatment and Old Faith Bay and Flint Pond, the northern part of Flint Pond, which is in between the Stringer Dam and Route 20, where I believe we can, if that would be acceptable to, because there's rares in both those areas, I think that would be acceptable to, based on our conversation with Miss Deanne at Natural Heritage. So it's a really expensive proposition, and to be frank, especially in, Old Faith I'm not too concerned about because it's fairly clear as far as the water visibility in there, and it's not very deep. Flint Pond North, on the other hand, isn't very deep either, but it's not clear. And then there's some money in there for the bid assistance that we need to deal with. And one of the reasons that we have such a large holdover from the last few years is because we got to the bid stage and it was confusing to the people that were doing it, because basically we're asking folks and, with Angela at Parks and Rec and those guys to kind of figure that out, and it was complicated because the way the bids came back is, one company would, because it's all kind of per acreage, so one company would come in and say, okay, it's $1 an acre, and another company would come in and say it's $100 an acre. So we didn't know what was what. By the time we figured all that stuff out and got our act together, it was getting into September where I felt it was kind of a waste of resources to treat at that point in the year, in the season. So total treatments, this invasive management this year will probably be around $202,000. So if we spent all this money on everything here, especially the dash and the Procyllicor, and which I'm not confident we're going to be able to do the Procyllicor in Half Moon. On public safety, signage and at Corazini and Flint Pond ramps, there are some good signs up now that are improved. They're all in English, unfortunately, for what we're doing down there. But digital sign rentals, I did not make the time window that we had for getting into buying digital sign for the CPC money, the Community Preservation Act, which this is a good project, and I've talked to the folks at CPC, and they think it's a good project, but we're probably going to circle around and try to hit them because they're going to have another round of approval in the fall. So it goes to town meeting, and that's what so we kind of missed that part of the warrant. But I do have money in here for rentals, so that if we should need to put signs down there, both at Corazini and at Flint Pond or wherever else we need a sign to do that kind of thing, say it's a lake-wide no-wake zone or some type of hazardous material that we got to notify people to kind of stay out of an area or whatever, that kind of thing. We have money in there so we can rent those signs and get them in place as quickly as possible. I got some money in here for handouts. We had talked about doing a small little blurb about kind of the main roles of Lake Quinsigamond to pass out that we had done years ago. So that's what that is for that. And then the hazard markers I have in there to cover what we need. Seems like seems like we're gonna be close, I guess, if we get the 8, and we'll have some reserve there for that kind of thing, in case there's some type of emergency that happens. It seems the lighting on top of the buoys are very popular with people.
They like to destroy them.
They seem to destroy it. Well, they disappear. Have you ever found one, or?
No, I think it just gets smashed.
It just gets
or
smashed.
hit.
Yeah. So, and then the facilities at the Shrewsbury Boathouse, so we don't have to go in the woods,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Perfect.
Conservation's complaining about that. And then we're gonna, I say free cash transfer, but basically what that is kind of give us some reserve, so we have some money, to keep in the budget to move forward. The budget's critical. Right now we're in good shape as far as the money goes, but there may be a time where we don't have appropriations like we're getting now. I don't, the state is not going to kick in money to Lake Quinsigamond every year like they just did, unless they feel bad for us for some reason. This was a result of the 2022 sewer spill which is how we got this earmark from the state. So I'd rather we didn't have a spill and didn't get the earmark than the other way around, but that's kind of where we are. So, any questions?
Mr. Chair, I do. On the handouts, are they being passed out the ramp? Is that what the handouts are being passed out for?
That's what we would, I'm trying to figure that out, actually, Sergeant, that either we pass them out at the ramp or that we send them out. But the thing is, we can send them out to abutters. Abutters, to be frank, should already know the rules, and they can get it on the web, and they, there's plenty of resources to get them. I want to target the people who don't know the rules that are just coming in.
So I'd like to give it to my officers. It's kind of like the hands-free driving, what they're doing
Yeah.
in the state right now, where they're pulling people over and they're not ticketing them. They're giving a warning and a handout
Yeah.
of hands-free. So if I can make copies of a copy
Okay,
to
I will do that.
pass out
I think that's actually a good idea.
to
Okay.
to boaters and stuff like that as a
All right.
friendly reminder
All right,
about the rules and regulations, I'd appreciate it.
okay. Any other questions, comments? A motion. Thank you, Willis.
Make a motion, we accept the budget as presented by the chairman.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right, so voted. All right, update on lake management plan. We kind of just went through that with the budget. And the drawdown is, as Mike had said, now it's kind of the re-impoundment, we'll call it, and it's done very successful. The reason it came up so fast was, one, the weather, and two, the weather all winter, because it never stayed down. So it was up pretty high for the winter pool all year, and it didn't take long for it to get to normal pool. So that's done. That's behind us, and we still need to get permitting for this season's drawdown. Yes?
We should just be able to extend it.
Okay. But we have to, we still have to extend the permit or whatever we're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Grafton and Worcester expired August.
Okay. And Worcester, Grafton and Worcester expired in August, and then Shrewsbury, we have one more year? 2 more years? All right. All right. So if there's any questions about that? And the Worcester, say Katie Lyman, because I'm not going to, this title takes me like 5 minutes to get it out. Katie Lyman from Lakes and Ponds.
So I don't have too many more updates. Oh, sorry. My name's Katie Liming, Lakes and Ponds Coordinator for the City of Worcester. I don't have too many more updates from past what I talked about when we were talking about the Flint Pond discharge. Our traditional sampling program will start for Quinsigamond on May 7th and 8th. Those will be the first days when we'll start taking baseline and responsive data on the water quality of the lake. And we'll continue that through October, as we do each year. We deployed a continuous monitoring buoy near in the area just outside of the Lake Ave pump station, which monitors for chlorophyll A and phycocyanin as sort of early warning to indicate either a big boom in plant growth or harmful algae, and that allows us to go out and take a look at the site in a more targeted way if anything does seem to be of concern according to the sensors. So that was deployed at the beginning of April. The WCMC is the Worcester Cyanobacteria Monitoring Collaborative, a group of community scientist volunteers who collect water samples and data on harmful algae blooms and other water quality parameters in water bodies of their choice, including Lake Quinsigamond. So we just last week held our volunteer training and are forming teams to sample water bodies starting at the beginning of May. So that will be starting up and will run through October as well. Mass Wildlife stocked Quinsigamond with brown trout and rainbow trout in a public fish stocking event on April 17th. I was not able to attend, but there were great pictures, so I think it went well. And finally, if anyone is interested in ordering a rain barrel, the City of Worcester is facilitating the delivery of discounted rain barrels available for purchase through the Great American Rain Barrel Company. You must order by May 5th and pick the barrel up on May 16th between 5 and 7 p.m. at the Blackstone Heritage Corridor Visitor Center. You can go to greatamericanrainbarrel.com/community and search for Worcester. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Katie. When you were speaking previously in regards to that, we'll just call it potential diesel fuel spill coming out of the outlet behind Sears Plaza, you had suggested that this commission might consider, did you say DEP level 1 investigation?
So
Stage one
I think
assessment.
I think it's called
Say phase 1
stage.
assessment.
Stage 1 assessment.
Stage 1 assessment. Okay. I feel like we shouldn't let this pass, and I, for one, would want to make a motion that this commission discuss and vote on so requesting of DEP a stage 1 assessment to, if it helps in terms of further determination about that fuel leak. Thank you, Mr. Chief. Thank
All
you,
right.
Katie.
Okay, I don't know if we need to vote on it, because
Okay.
all
right.
my plan was just to ask him for a stage 1 assessment.
Okay. If we don't have to vote on it, I'd just like to see it carried
I
forward.
was just gonna tell him that Katie
Mr.
Liming
Chair.
demands that we get a stage 1 assessment. That's how I heard it, you know.
Well, we should just make sure, if we have the option have them get involved,
Yeah.
let's do it. That's,
I will. I'll actually reach out to John
Okay.
tomorrow.
thank you,
and,
that was my question.
Any other questions? Thanks.
Thanks, Katie. All right, Barbara, Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association.
Hello, I'm Barbara Kickham with the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association, and we are hawking T-shirts and sweatshirts. Where's the camera? If you guys
They're all over the place.
This way? Okay. They're all over. I don't know which one's on. So if anyone's interested, it's pinned on our Facebook page. They're taking up a whole bedroom at my house, and I need to get rid of them because my son's moving home. I had a question before I get into some of my things. What is the status with the boat washing stations? Did we get a report from Worcester? And then
So, you know what, that's a good question, and that kind of fell through the crack. I have not got and I haven't requested one to ask Katie how the station's working out at Indian Lake. We got pushback from the state about putting that kind of facility down, or that equipment down there, because I think they were concerned that people are going to use it to vacuum out their cars, or there's going to be a liability, and is it really effective and all this? So they wanted some kind of, and there was no reference base in our area about that, that equipment. So I was hoping that we'd have some kind of, testimonial from the city that, that these are in fact working and seem to be. And I understand it's hard to quantify, are there less weeds in Indian Lake because this device is over there, but I guess what they're, are people going to use it? Are they using it for the right thing? That kind of thing. So I don't know if that's, I'm not asking for you to give me the information right now, but we can, that may be a discussion we can have.
Yeah, I think I do have some information on that.
Okay.
And I'll, you probably need it in writing.
It would probably be better that way. That way I can, you're free to, no one can hear you up there, but.
So this is Katie Liming. those stations actually come with a software that records how often the chain is pulled. Like, so the tools are all like connected to chains. The software will supposedly record how many times like the vacuum cleaner was used or like the tongs were pulled from their station. I'm not sure how representative that is of people actually using it to clean their boats versus just, hey, there's like this random thing here, let me pull on it.
Right.
But I'll pull those numbers and send them to you. I will say, when we cleaned out the vacuum container before the winter, there wasn't that much in there. I didn't really see any plant materials that had been vacuumed off. There was a little bit of trash. But I mean, maybe people are just, there's tongs as well. So folks could maybe use tongs and, or the brush that's on the stations and brush it onto the pavement. But I will get the report, see what information I have to report on from that software and give it back or get it to you.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
I mean, part of the usefulness of these things is the educational part of it. The people understand that they're going from lake to lake to lake, and they might be carrying weeds
Right.
on their propellers or whatever. And so, yeah, there might not be a lot of debris that's actually coming off of these and going into them, but they're not very expensive. And I think that the potential savings could be enormous. You know, one boat is all it takes.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
And especially if we can get CPA money, CPC money. A comment too on, Mike, your plastic debris, storm drains, all that plastic flotsam and jetsam that comes up all along the entire lake shore is all really coming from the storm drains. It's just, it's just flushing into the streams that comes into the lake. So it's not a lot of people just being clueless and throwing garbage in. There is that, but all that little stuff is all stormwater. I sent the LQC the bacteria report. I just want to know if anybody had any questions that we did our sampling for last summer. So you guys got it?
I mean, I got it and I read it, but I don't have, now that you say that, I don't have that in the packet. So I don't think
I'm not seeing it.
you folks have seen it, okay.
I sent it to the
The email, the LQC,
email.
well, I'll make sure that goes out, because
Okay.
that was actually helpful,
Okay.
yeah. I apologize for that.
And, so this year, we're just gonna do one round of bacteria sampling, and we got DEP to fund human marker testing. They take it up to their, wall experiment station and do some sampling for us, so that will save the commission quite a bit of money. They're like $500 a sample. I don't know how many samples we're gonna get. I'm hopefully all, like 8 of our points they'll do, but I'm not sure. And then we'll do bacteria at that same time. So we're just gonna do that once, and then we may also do pharmaceuticals and personal care products. That was recommended to us by EPA as far as, it's a really good test to see if there's human waste going into the lake. So we have bacteria. We don't know if it's avian. We don't know if it's canine or if it's human. We really want to get a handle on whether or not it's human waste going into the lake. So we'll do the human DNA marker through DEP. They'll cover that, and then the pharmaceuticals, personal care products. Each of those is $600. Personal care products and pharmaceuticals is 2 different tests. They're each $600. So each sample point could be $1,200. So we don't necessarily have to do both, because we're not trying to do a scientific study of what are the percentages or what. We just want to know if it's, human waste is coming into the lake. So we're still kind of working on that. But that we'll have to pay for if we decide to do that.
Okay, that's the question I was gonna ask you.
DEP doesn't do that.
It's in the budget.
Yeah. So we don't have to do that, so we're kind of still debating
All
that.
right.
And then our water chestnut weed pulls, I keep changing the dates, but it's Right now, it's June 8th and June 20th, and so we'll be getting the word out on that, just letting you guys know. And I was on a call about for our grant for this water chestnut weed pull, and one of the representatives said there's water chestnut in Lake Ripple. So I said, you guys should come up and help us pull weeds in Lake Quinsigamond then, all you people in Grafton. So just a thought. But it was kind of scary to see, because we don't have a lot in Flint Pond. We don't have any, right, in Flint Pond. But it's going there because you have it in Round Pond and you have a
Someone
little
had
bit in
told me
Half Moon
that they
Cove.
discovered it in Half Moon, yeah.
In Half Moon Cove. So it'll be there, and it'll be in Grafton, so.
If it's in Half Moon, it's coming to Flint Pond.
Right, yep.
Yep.
And that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Review correspondence, and just got a couple things. We got an email from Marguerite, and just to kind of get on the speaking side of things. So we took care of that, and we have another correspondence from a resident on Flint. I'm going to say Round Pond, in between Sunset Bridge and Route 20, asking that we reduce the speed limit in that area. I don't think I don't see what they asked us to reduce the speed limit to, but there's just that they were concerned that the jet skis were, whipping through there. And I guess one hit his wall. It's the first I've heard of that one, but I will just say this, that, I'm not going to dismiss anything like that. That could be a good idea, but, there's already a speed limit that the jet skis are far exceeding, because they're going way faster than 40 miles an hour through there. Also, if they're zipping through, there's another narrow spot there, which we should probably have no wake buoys there too. They're just cranking through there. So, and there's literally a house on that narrow that has a swimming area right there. So that's dangerous on all sides of it. But that's the problem with the speed limit's the speed limit, but they're not obeying the one that's in place now. So I don't think they're going to obey one that's less. It may give law enforcement, I guess, more teeth if it's a bit 20. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I could, when we brought the small boat over there, not last year, the year before,
Yeah.
they do treat it like a racetrack there because the weeds congest that area.
Yep.
And it kind of looks like the fourth turn in Talladega.
No, seriously, you're right.
So they do open it up over there between the weeds.
I will say this, because I go through there with my paddleboard all the time, and sometimes you just meet at the wrong spot. Like, I'm right in front of the narrow part, or I'm coming around the corner, and they do slow down. Like, they don't whip by me, and I don't think they know who I am, but they can't see. I got sunglasses on, a big hat, and I don't think they really recognize who I am. Maybe they know, but they just kind of slow down and they buzz by as slow as they can. I'm going to say from the jet ski standpoint that those things suck in water and shoot it out the back. That's how it works, and it's incredibly. There's all kinds of particles and sediment in the water over there, so it can clog a jet ski in a New York minute if you're going slow. But I don't know if that's. When they get to Flint Pond, which that isn't an issue, they're still buzzing around there at 60 miles an hour. So I think that with a boat over at Flint Pond, a lot of that's going to slow down organically. I hope. And maybe if they can't go through that fast, it'll discourage them from going over there, because it's just going to hose up their equipment. And that's all for correspondence. Set the date of the next meeting in May.
So we have the next meeting, May 29th, 7 PM. It's going to be back at the town hall.
Okay.
So we'll be back at the town hall for the next meeting.
Okay, fine.
Fine, okay. Anything else for me while I'm up?
I don't
Okay.
think we do.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we adjourn?
Second?
Is everyone, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and opposed? No one ever opposes that. Okay, so done. We're adjourned.
Last meeting, you guys said, does anybody have any questions? You have to hold to the end.
Yeah, well, you had public participation, so, I mean, we can talk.
You can't talk after, you said the questions would be held to the end of the meeting, I thought. So is that not happening?
Yeah, so most of the time, I don't do it, from a question standpoint. Let me say this, historically, Marguerite, well, you had the time to make the comments, and you're welcome to make those comments every month. But, so, yeah, so we just adjourned, so.